tune high to play low. What does that even mean? If you've been in car audio for a while, you've probably heard this phrase a few times. It's become a little bit more popular, I think, as the years progress. And I want to talk a little bit about that today to help you kind of understand what that means. And hopefully this will maybe help you decide on a tuning frequency for your box. Now this chart works for a ported box. And here I have the tuning frequency. This is a half octave below, so a full octave below would be exactly half. So for 40 hertz, a full octave would be 20. A half octave below would be 30. And the reason I have half octave below here is because this is realistically where they say that you can play safely down to. So if you have your box tuned at 40, you can play down to 30. If you have it tuned at 30, you can play it down to 22.5, and so on. Now this really is just a general generic thing where they say half octave below. I've seen a lot of boxes that are designed that really you would not want to even try pushing something that low. It really designs on a properly designed port and box, and potentially there are other things you can do. For instance, the sub selection that you do may also help as well. But if it's general, like if you follow the manufacturer's recommends box specs, then typically you can play this. There's a lot you can do to actually play a lot lower. So for instance, I'm tuned at 35 in my car, and I can actually play down to 20 without a problem. I could probably play 17. I haven't tried it, but I do lose about 5 to 6 dB down at 20 hertz, which is not bad. A lot of people are 5 to 6 dB down at these frequencies. Also, half octave above. The tuning really works well, I would say, between the tuning frequency and about a half octave above. You get a really good bandwidth. And then you got an upper end, about 100% over. So if you've got 40 hertz, you got a full octave above to 80. If you design your box really well, you can probably play all the way up from 30 to 80 without a whole lot of dB loss. So fairly flat. If you have your box that's got some issues, it's not quite designed right, the port is too big, the box is too small, other things, then maybe your best tuning is right in between this, and you kind of lose your upper end and your lower end. But we're just going to say that for sakes of this video, that you've got a decently designed enclosure, maybe even something a little bit better than what the manufacturer suggests, and you can play between this 30 and 80. So, or whatever tuning frequency you have, you can play all the way from the half octave below to a full octave above, and these are kind of the bandwidth options you're looking at for each of these tuning frequencies. Now, I do want to say I have known people that have they'll tune their box to 30 hertz, and they'll put a stupidly big port, like 25 square inches per cubic foot, and if they hit 27, their sub is bottoming them out. And some of these people put stupid power on it too. It's like you're dancing with it breaking, and it performs really well around tuning frequency. Nothing below tuning frequency, or you're gonna hurt it. Also, I'd like to say that even if you have it properly designed at let's say, for instance, 30 hertz, and you have 16 cubes per square foot, which is like manufacturer suggested for most subs. If you've got a 2000 watt sub and you've got an 8K amp on it, you probably also could have some of these problems hitting these low notes. You're going to have to work with your crossovers to really start cutting out below 30 hertz. So it's another reason why you may consider not wanting to superly overpower your subs. But we'll get into a video where we talk about what would be a proper power for your subs and how to determine that, because some people throw out, like, they'll ask, hey, I've got this sub, how much power should I put on it? And you have the most ridiculous answers that range from, like, 1.5 times the sub power to like 5 times the sub power, just wide range. And I'll get into that in another video. To continue here, the whole point is that notice that you got 10 hertz difference here and a 5 hertz difference here. So as you start to tune lower, you actually close that little gap that you can play below tuning in a regular ported box. And so when they say tune high to play low, they're talking about tuning higher at 40, or not 40, they'd probably be like 35, or maybe even between 30 and 35, because you can still reach down into mid-20s. And look at this, 35 hertz. You can play 26 hertz to 70. That's a fantastic bandwidth. Most people don't want to play anything above 70 anyways. A lot of people may... I have my crossover set in the about mid-60s, and it starts dropping off. I think mine's set at 6 or 12 dB right now per octave. So I still catch a little bit in the 70s and 80s. And I can play I can play down to 20 without a problem. But I'm seriously underpowering my subs, so I'm not worried about it. They're getting like 400 watts or 1500 RMS subs. But yeah, this is what they're talking about. They're talking about tuning this realistically around here so that you can play mid, maybe even lower 20s, and you can still get up here in good bandwidth. Now, I've seen some people, they build their box, they tune it to 20 hertz, and they use a big port, and they can basically play between like 18 hertz and maybe like 20, maybe about 30 hertz. That's it. And that is just such a miserable bandwidth. It's great for a while. All you can play is decaf and rebase stuff. Pretty much anything below 35 hertz is all decaf and rebase stuff. I mean, your music from the music producers realistically almost never includes anything that low, below 35. It just doesn't really happen. So for your standard radio, if you never listen to anything rebased or decaf, 40 hertz in a car would be probably fine. And this is you're gonna get a little bit more SPL tuning higher than tuning lower. So if you get a sub, let's say it's got an FS of 30, and you put it in a 40 box tuned to 40 hertz, and let's say you get 145 dB, and then you put a box tuned to 20 hertz, and you get like 138 dB. That's just how it goes, because higher frequencies, you're going to hit better numbers. So this is why I like 35. I like 33, 34, 35, because I can play any rebase stuff, decaf. I can play anything on the radio with mine, but I do end up having good bandwidth. I've had systems prior that just through testing and trial, I tuned to like low 30s, and they would play like this. They would do like this. They would play, mid 20s to about 45, and that's it. And I was kind of miserable with them. So that's all they're talking about. Tuning high, because you can still dig down. You can dig down 10 hertz with this, where you only dig down 5 hertz with this. And people grow tired. If you tune yours to 20, 25 hertz, you're going to grow tired of only listening to decaf and rebased music. So at worst, do yourself a favor if you really want to do lows, and just try 30. And that way you can still play almost down to 20. Keep listening to my videos. I'm going to review some things that'll help you kind of tune lower, or you can still tune here and then actually reach lower frequencies. A lot of that's designed as like port and box, like I said, subs. So we'll talk some about that. Anyways, I hope this helped. Tune high to play low, and I'll catch you online another day. Cheers.